Hey everyone, welcome back to Red Lipstick Reality TV, where of course we're going to talk about everything reality. And right now we are focused on the one and only Sister Wives. We are in season 19, you guys. This is episode 5. This episode is called The Year of the Release. If you're new here, hey, hit the subscribe button. Join the Red Lipstick Club here. If you are coming back, hey y'all, welcome back, Red Lipstick Club. Hit the like button, you guys. Help me with this algorithm, I'm trying to get back in the algorithm. So hit the like button if you love the content that I'm providing for you. How are you guys doing? It has been a week, and this episode capped off a week for me. I believe I have 8 WTF moments from this episode. I didn't think I would top what I was witnessing last episode. And ding, 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 of course Cody's going to show up and top last week. I don't know how he did it, and I am terrified for the future of this man and what else he's going to do. But he found a way to top his ignorance from last week. And guess what? We're going to talk about it. All right, y'all. Segment 1 this week. Cody and Robyn, they're going to Utah. They're going to see the triplets. They're going to see the twins. I find it interesting that he's making time for what he wants to make time for, and that apparently is to see McKelty's kids. And I also wonder, as time has gone on, since it's back in 2022, how often he's actually made a trip up to Utah to see McKelty and those kids. I'd be curious to know, because it started to sound like that's maybe one of the reasons why McKelty and them were kind of pulling away, is a bulk 95% of the effort was coming from their side. So once they were no longer newborns, did he care? I almost feel like he's just attracted to the smell of babies, and that's the only reason why he went there. Again, y'all, I did not ask for the McKelty and Tony show. I hope we get a break from them soon. I would love to have a full episode of no Tony and McKelty. I'm sorry, I did not ask for them. I didn't. And obviously it's because maybe they're the ones that are okay with being on the show and giving their lives away to the show, because for what they do for a living, this helps them. However, I'm tired of them moving on. Y'all, why did Cody stay home with the youngest two when Robyn went up there when McKelty first had the kids? Robyn has 2 whole adult children there, plus a senior in high school. You mean to tell me they couldn't handle those kids for 24 to 48 hours? Ariella and Solomon are so out of control that they can't handle taking them to school and supervising them for 2 days. And I really think what happened, for some of those kids during COVID, their maturity level is really delayed. So is it that Aurora, her maturity level is so delayed that her mom can't trust her to have these clearly school-age children for 24 to 48 hours? That's crazy. For some of you guys that have had kids that were, let's say, 8th grade, freshmen in high school, when COVID happened, how much of a social delay, maturity delay, have y'all noticed? Put in the comments. Because those kids now that were freshmen, right? They're basically in their freshman year of college now, I'm assuming, right? Because that's about 4 years ago. The kids that were seniors that year, they had about 4 years now of being an adult. So if you were to compare average adults that you knew that were 22 in 2020, right? And just comparing them to 22-year-olds of before COVID. How would you say the maturity level looks? Let me know what you guys think. Put it in the comments below, because I've definitely seen some issues and concerns when it comes to that. Okay, so Cody's basically talking about how he gets along with McKelty, which is interesting because everybody seemed to butt heads with McKelty, and that he says he sees something special. He sees something special in her. It could be loyalty, as he says. Again, for me, Cody continues to play favorites. He's playing the favorites game. He knows that some of his children see this show, so he knows what he's doing. And I guarantee y'all that he did this with them as kids for years. And I just don't think that the moms recognized how bad it was all the time, because in their eyes, they're just looking at it's basically love bombing, right? Because you'll hear them say, oh, he was so great. Was he really that great back then, or was he just love bombing the death out of you in certain moments? So you would forget how neglectful he actually was. Because I don't feel like he was probably this amazing dad. I just think he was better at love bombing and cared more to love bomb them to death. Now he just doesn't care. So I feel like he did this to the kids for years, kind of playing them against each other, very similar to how he did his wives. You would hear how he would kind of love bomb them during different periods to make them forget that he actually was incredibly neglectful. Because his narcissistic behavior is incredibly toxic, and I just don't think he became a narcissist overnight. I'm pretty sure he was always one, and your children also are victims to that. It's typically how that works. We're coming up, y'all. This is my first WTF moment of the episode. Oh, it's time for one of many. Robyn, girl, you're the weakest link. Let's pop it here.
I think that McKelty kind of sees that there are two sides to this. I just think she knows more of the truth. I think she sees more of the truth.
Okay, y'all. Robyn states that McKelty knows more of the truth. More of the truth. Okay. Is it that she knows more of what is true, or is it that she's been so starved for attention and favor, and that she's basically willing to ignore the actual truth of the matter? Because based on where it seems everybody stands right now, especially with her lately, I would say it's the latter. I think she could be willfully ignorant when it comes to this entire situation, when she's getting what she wants, which is attention. But I think we've all witnessed the actual truth, Robyn. Cody then talks about building a big house in Flagstaff, saying, oh, I needed to talk to you about this, Robyn. It's like, Cody, you abandoned your big family. You cannot replace the OG3 with McKelty and her kids because you abandoned your first 3 wives and their families. That's not how this works. You don't get to just start over. And if Robyn didn't look at that situation as a blaring red flag of what he just said, it's like he wants to do polygamy again, but not in a real way. I don't know. It was a very odd interaction for me. I also thought it was kind of like devious of Cody, like to try to separate McKelty and her like kids from Christine in an effort to like be the favorite because McKelty would be with him. It was just very odd. He is so odd, y'all. And this is the one time that I can be like, thank God, McKelty, you and Tony are like using your critical thinking in your brain. Because even their reaction to him saying you can live with us is like, yeah, no, we're good. We're gonna have our own family. And Robyn tries to giggle her way into it and says, oh no, Cody, they need to have their own family. Duh. Oh my God. Like, nobody wants to check him and like bring him into reality, y'all. He doesn't live in reality. He doesn't live in reality. It's crazy. Oh my God, y'all. The whole placenta story and breastfeeding your sister wives' kids. The placenta part was gross. I don't care. Don't need to reiterate it. And then honestly, that whole section was incredibly forgettable. I will say this though. You know, I do know for a fact during slavery, that the slave women were typically forced to nurse the children of their slave owners. So let that sink in. So when I'm hearing this, it's kind of triggering for me when I'm hearing this. I was like, oh my God, that's what they used to make the slaves do. Nurse the kids. So they could have skipped that whole section. It was a mess. But that's what you get for trying to force McKelty and Tony into this show. And I don't care. Moving on. I will say this. Cody goes, well, Christine and I have been breaking up. Mykelti and I have been healing. When I tell y'all all these people need therapy, like Christine saying Mykelti needs, or Mykelti asks for what she needs, and the other kids could take a hint from her and ask for what they need. Why would a kid have to ask for their parent to be consistent and to treat them like the rest of the other siblings? Like, to me, that was very irresponsible for Christine. And there were quite a few moments in this episode where I saw a lot of emotional neglect from primarily Janelle, but also Christine, to where they still have some indoctrination when it comes to this polygamous lifestyle, because they sure do make a lot of excuses for why Cody's behavior was the way it was. Like, Christine goes back and forth. She's not as bad as Janelle, but Janelle is willfully ignorant and responsible for a substantial amount of the emotional deficit that her children have experienced, because her level of apathy is a little scary. And there are going to be some moments, y'all, I'm going to bring up, and you may not agree with me, and I think that's okay. We can have a healthy conversation. But when I watch Janelle, she is willfully ignorant. And her apathy towards Cody's behavior, to me, is unacceptable as a parent. And I wouldn't be shocked if her kids down the line come back around to her and say, Mom, you were very neglectful emotionally when it came to these specific areas. I'm curious if that's going to happen. All right, y'all, moving on. Segment 2. Christine starts out by talking about David and their date. Okay, cute. Honestly, because we're so behind, I wish they would just fast forward through this stuff. We've already seen them get married at this point. I don't care. And I realized that I didn't care when I was watching it, and I just kind of wanted to fast forward through it. So that tells me that this is bad content, and y'all should move on. I will say this. This is why I believe it's bad content, because it feels disingenuous to me. And I'll tell you why. I'm not saying that her feelings for David are disingenuous. I think those are very much real. I'm speaking solely on this entire interaction with her telling him about polygamy. Christine, you are famous. You were famous before you met this man. You were famous for being in a polygamous family on TV. Okay? This man was from Utah. Also, you didn't know this at the time, but he has family that's in polygamy. And he also has younger daughters. Do you think not one of those daughters said something to him? And we also found out that he knew that she was famous. So this whole conversation, it feels very disingenuous to me for her to be like, oh, I told him and it was okay. And that was just not unnecessary, y'all. And they could have honestly just passed by it. It was annoying to me and they didn't need it. I will say, though, what did stand out for me in this segment is that there have only been 2 romantic, like, courtship experiences. One of them he is claiming, and one of them he's denying. He's denying that he had a romantic courtship with Meri because he's saying he never loved her and it was basically forced. And he is constantly claiming his romantic courtship of Robyn. So let's just remove Meri from this equation. 3 of the 4 did not have, as far as he's concerned, a romantic courtship because he didn't love any of these women. Okay? So ultimately, from the beginning of Robyn coming in and having her relationship start out from a romantic space and not just religion, but also romantic, there's a power and an energy shift there that the OG3, like, were never going to be able to overcome from the get-go. Once that connection became romantic, I just believe it was downhill from there because he has no history to go back on, to reinvent, to recreate, he has no history on Robyn to do that with, but he has 15 plus years with each of those other wives to do that with, to be histrionic about, to go back and bring up and call out old stuff about. So she's getting to start brand new, fresh, and the rest of them are bringing on somebody new and also bringing with all the relationship baggage that they already had. So this was set to fail from the start, everybody. I'm sorry. It was set to fail. There was no way they were going to come out okay. I just don't foresee them ever coming out okay. Let me know what you think in the comments below, y'all, on that situation. Okay, here we go. I've been waiting for this conversation with Gabe and Janelle because I thought it would be pretty insightful, and Gabe seems to be very honest. And these are the kids I want to hear from. I don't want to hear from Mykelti and Tony anymore. I want to hear from the kids that we have clearly seen be personally negatively impacted by this relationship with Cody. And I don't want to hear it from their moms. I want to hear it from them directly. And this is really important to see Gabe talk about this, because I think is he emotional? Sure, because it's an emotional situation, but he's not emotional to the point where he is not making clear and logical sense and using critical thinking, right? So I'm really thankful that some of these kids have already sought out therapy, because it's pretty clear as glass that like every member of this family needs it, especially the ones that are showing, like I said, apathy to Cody's behavior. I'm calling out Christine and Janelle, and Meri. More so Janelle, because it kind of feels like they're just using it as like an emotional defense mechanism, and it's really scary to me. And it helps nothing. It really doesn't. It just pushes stuff under the carpet till you have to lift that carpet up and get to sweeping and dusting and vacuuming. And then it's a big old mess. So they talk about everything that happened with COVID. I do find it interesting, of all the times that Robyn just decides to just stay out of it, right? Because she's always been nosy and in everybody's conversations and situations. The one time she decides to stay out of it, it's when Cody completely abandons the other families during COVID. Because ultimately, she's really getting what she wants out of that. But then once it started snowballing, I don't think she thought it was going to go on for that long. I think she thought, this is my chance to really get him for a couple months. And I don't think she thought it was going to be what it was. I don't think she did, y'all. And it backfired. The plan backfired. It definitely did. Because I just don't think she thought this was going to be the end result. You let me know what you think. But that's what I think would happen. Here we go. Here is my WTF moment number 2, y'all. Oh. Giving out other people's forgiveness. Pop that in right here.
He came back a couple of days later and texted me. It's like, hey, I've been like thinking about what you've been saying. I forgive you. Please forgive me. I was like, forgive me for what? Like,
Cody. Again, the narcissist that is Cody. He refuses to solely focus on his transgressions. Feels the need to like preface the request for forgiveness by letting Gabe know, hey, just in case you didn't understand how this works, you wronged me first. So the only reason why I'm asking you to forgive me now is because I'm forgiving you first. It's so ridiculous. It's such poor parenting. Like, he couldn't just apologize and ask for forgiveness. He had to let Gabe know, I'm just letting you know you were wrong first. I'll say maybe I need for you to forgive me, but I'm going to tell you that I forgive you first because you're wrong first. He's got the maturity of a 2-year-old. He is literally the maturity of a toddler. I'm also going to say, you guys might not like it. I'm sorry. You know how I feel. I really just give no passes to any of these parents and adults in this situation. But I think Janelle has rose-colored glasses on how great of a father Cody was from the moment that Robyn came on, and probably even before then. But absolutely from the moment Robyn came into the picture, the fathering went down. The fathering went down. And we can list them off one by one, but we know them. The fathering went down. Here we go. We're going to keep the WTF moments rolling because there were so many in a row. So here's your next one. This is number 3. And I've never been patriarchal, according to Cody. Here it is now.
Janelle is just dead wrong about me and patriarchy. I've never been patriarchal. I've never behaved patriarchal. I actually was just angry once when Christine was leaving, and I said, hey, we're going to do this patriarchy thing, but I've never been patriarchal.
Cody, Cody, from the moment you moved to Flagstaff and like clearly became engulfed and like obsessed with the manosphere, with the red pill movement, like he went completely overboard on like the toxic masculinity and like this patriarchal focus. And like he may have only said that specific term once and that heated exchange that they all had, but even in like his approach to like the COVID rules, he said then, am I the head of this family or what? He did it then. So he was already moving towards that type of system where he was going to make all the decisions and be in charge. That was even after COVID. So what are you talking about? During COVID? After COVID? That patriarchal stuff didn't go away, sweetie. It's been there. I'll say it like this. Gabe said it best. He made decisions for the family he wanted to be with. And there was favoritism. And he was like I said, already acting hostile prior to COVID-19. And then he continues to exaggerate. When in the episode, he's talking about his experience with COVID. He continues to exaggerate this situation for him, saying he saw the Grim Reaper. Keep in mind, y'all, we found out he never went to the hospital. He never got a real test. He just diagnosed himself. Now, did he probably have it? Sure, maybe. But he's always finding a shortcut to victimhood as well. So just give me a break on that. I'm continuing on with the WTF moments because there's so many in this segment. And here you go. Number 4, it's like Janelle calls out the elephant in the room, and she does it right here.
My children have really begun to express that they feel like COVID just presented an opportunity for their dad to do what he's been wanting to do for a long time, which was live and make a life with his favorite wife. I mean, let's not mince words. And their dad had been expressing things to them just off the cuff about, you know, he wished that he would have waited and just married Robyn.
Gabe said it best. He made decisions, you know, like, we all know, Gabe was just on top of this one time after another. But we all know it now, but Janelle is actually vocalizing it, right? Cody made up these COVID rules to basically isolate with the family he wanted to be with. And with his favorite wife, which was Robyn. And he has said he wished he could have waited and just married Robyn, which he says is a lie. I do not believe it was a lie. Multiple kids have this story. So multiple times all these kids had this experience with you, so they're all lying about that experience. I doubt it. It's not a gossip line, Cody. I can almost guarantee you said it. You used COVID to abandon the rest of your family. You used this as an opportunity. And then have the audacity to be mad about the result. You got what you wanted. What do you think? The kids are just going to say, oh, that's okay for you to abandon my mom and us. We'll get over it. What? You can't just abandon people and just assume they're going to be fine and okay. You abandon them. Moving on, segment 3. Meri gets a release, y'all, in segment 3. So Meri basically tells the journey about getting the release from the church, and then Cody basically continues to try or to treat her terribly through this process. He doesn't even acknowledge the separation and her calling him to say, hey, do you want to talk? Like, he doesn't even care about any of this. He's just like playing her to the left, doesn't even return calls. He absolutely abandoned her. I'm so glad, y'all, that the church gave her that relief to basically be able to say, hey, it seems as though this man abandoned you in your marriage. He abandoned her. And I know like some of the others obviously are not religious, so it doesn't really matter to them, but Meri is. So, and it does mean something to Meri. And I'm really glad that she had that moment of validation that you did everything you could do. You did what you were supposed to do. He abandoned you, and you can let that go. He abandoned you. And Cody trying to get mad later on in the segment about that, saying, oh, I didn't like some of the words he used. Oh, you didn't like for them to tell you the truth about yourself? I'm sure you didn't. no narcissist would. No narcissist wants to hear the truth about themselves and hear you say exactly who they are as a human. You abandon her, and they basically are letting you know that's exactly what you did. So there we go. I was also thinking, watching like the clips back of their relationship and like watching how he looked at Meri when they took like their anniversary trip and trying to act like he was never in love with this woman. And at like even like at the beginning of dating Robyn, how he felt about Meri, because basically Meri offered up a new woman for him, but how he looked at her, even when she like sacrificed her own legal marriage so that he could adopt Robyn's kids, which I still believe was honestly a fake ploy to push for a divorce, so that not only could he not be legally tied to Meri anymore, but then he could start the abandonment process for especially her. I think at that moment he knew he was going to start abandoning her, and also start funneling assets, y'all, through his marriage with Robyn, because he needed something as big as adoption to justify him divorcing Meri and marrying Robyn instead of marrying Janelle or Christine. Because you know in polygamy, it usually goes by order. Like if the first wife passes away or whatever, the next wife is typically who the second wife is. That's one that they have like the legal marriage with, so on and so forth. So when Janelle had that reaction, which you guys remember, I did a little short on that, showing how her reaction and how he was going to run off into the sunset when he got with Meri, and how Janelle called that out. That's because typically in polygamous marriages, they marry that second wife, which would have been Janelle. So there's basically her and Christine got skipped over for him to marry Robyn, and then they're using it under the guise of they need to get married so they can adopt the kids. And they did not need to adopt those kids. They basically bamboozled and threatened and rigged, allegedly, her ex in order to make that happen. So I just think this is all of these conversations that we're seeing now. I know it may seem repetitive for some people, but if you've been watching from the beginning, I really just see it more as a validation for some of the things we were thinking in those moments, that they were trying to gaslight us and tell us, we were just making up these thoughts in our heads, and that they really didn't mean that, and they really weren't trying to get over. No, yes, y'all were. And we see it now. We see you. We see you, Cody. Moving on, y'all. Here we go. We're going to talk about moment number 5. WTF moment. Yes, y'all, 5. That's how many I've got. There's tons of these. This is, Cody blaming Robyn for his abandonment with Meri, which is ironic. But here we go.
Robyn felt that if I waited on God, that things could change for mine and Meri's relationship. And that was advice that I took. And I waited. And as time went on, I realized that it was never really going to work. And I'm sorry to Meri for that. I wish I would have figured it out sooner.
Y'all, Cody now blames Robyn for why he tried working on his marriage with Meri. And then he says, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Meri for that. I'm sorry that I dragged her along with what Robyn wanted me to do. So even in his divorce from Meri, he's finding a way to blame someone else, including his favorite Robyn, to avoid taking full accountability for something. He will throw Robyn even under the bus at this point to avoid him taking accountability. Robyn girl, danger. I'm hoping you're watching this episode and you're seeing how this man just threw you under the bus and blamed all his poor decision making and his abandonment on you. It's all you. See how this works? Because eventually it's all going to come to you. When he has nobody else to blame now, he's going to not be blaming you. Which is probably why your marriage was having the issues that it was having. Because now you're the only one left. I was thinking about in this scenario when we're looking at Meri talking about going around her house and taking down all the photos, and how she spent basically almost her whole life. I mean, she spent more years with Cody than not with Cody, right? Over 30 years. And when my parents were married really young, they were married over 20 years. And it is a large part of your life when you get married that young. You're experiencing almost everything together outside of childhood. You're almost your entire adulthood. And every photo you take, every memory you have up until that point is tied to that failure. And I know for both my parents, a divorce was seen as a failure. So to have a constant reminder on the walls and photos, and all your memories are tied to those photos, it's kind of hard to get rid of them because you're like, well, I have no memories without you as an adult. You have to build an entire new catalog of memories and photos with yourself as an adult, and all your kid photos. I mean, hopefully this is what they say it's important. I don't know if maybe our world's just preparing for a lot of divorces, but this is why they tell people it's important for moms to make sure they're getting solo photos with their children, because it seems the moms are always the ones taking all the photos and the dads have all these great photos and the moms have terrible ones. And they say you need to actively make sure that you're getting photos with your children solo, because you never know. If every family photo you have has him in it, I'm not saying you're going to all get divorced. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the percentages are looking suspicious. The more single married moms we have, the more suspicious it's all looking. I also thought it was kind of a joke of a moment here, you guys, where Robyn says Cody felt emotional. He shed tears about Meri and then said, I wish it didn't have to be that way. And then right behind it, the producers are messy AF for this, but they right behind what Robyn says, trying to show that Cody has empathy we know does not exist in him. And he actually says, I'm just relieved. He's just relieved, y'all. He's such a coward. And then he says he was done years ago. But he was worried about Meri. Because he didn't know what she was going to do. He says Meri was never loyal. And he was afraid that she would trash him, because that's what divorced people do. And I was so disgusted by him. I just didn't even feel like filming it for another WTF moment, because it was just so gross. And he is so gross in this moment. And Meri, I absolutely agree with what Meri was saying, where she's like, he's totally changed the narrative of their marriage. And I'll be honest, I don't care what he says. We all saw what y'all were. He's not pulling any wool or blankets or scarves or anything over any of our eyes. We saw your relationship. Meri didn't tell you guys any of her other sister wives that she was splitting up. And honestly, I felt like that makes sense if you don't talk to them. If you aren't even getting like a Thanksgiving invite from any of them, why would you call them to tell them that? Doesn't really make sense either. I will say, though, the only caveat is I think she should have called Janelle, mainly because her and Janelle have a mutual financial interest when it comes to this split. So I do think that's a call I would have made with Janelle. And I said, look, we don't talk much, Janelle, but I need to let you know that I'm completely split from him. We obviously have some financial connections that we'll be chatting about. And I want to make sure you and I walk away with what we deserve. So just letting you know where I'm at right now. I would have definitely made that call. Christina, doesn't matter. But Janelle, y'all got financial ties. You guys need to be on the same page. You need to be one band, one sound, as they say. If you haven't seen Drumline, might not get that reference. But one band, one sound, baby. That's how you and Janelle need to be when it comes to Coyote Pass and this money. And also that equity in Robyn's house that you're all entitled to as well. Okay, here we go. We're moving right along, you guys. Segment 4, I called it The Victim That Is Robyn's second segment 4, because that's really what it was about. Can I just start this segment off by saying, Savannah, hello, Savannah. You know that kid, the youngest kid that's Janelle's, that is a minor when this is filmed? Remember her? Remember Savannah? Okay. Like Janelle WT, like, not W. What the fuck, Janelle? When it comes to Savannah. To me, I'm sorry, like, I'm going to have a moment here when it comes to Janelle, and you might not like it. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have the moment. She's so negligent and irresponsible with this. First off, put Savannah in therapy if she's not in there. Hopefully, dear God, Savannah's in therapy. Because Savannah's apathy to his behavior is not okay. And that's a learned behavior. And that's what we're seeing from her mother. Excuse me. He dropped the ball, y'all. And like you failed to, they just totally failed to hold him accountable. He gets to just drop balls all over. He gets to drop Truly. He gets to drop Isabel. He gets to drop Gwen, Savannah, Gabe, Garrison. He gets to drop all of them. And the lack of accountability in which Janelle holds him to Savannah, who is still in high school, makes me absolutely sick. Sick, y'all. I'm done. Moving on. WTF moment number 6. It's the victim that is Robyn. Put it here.
I think that Robyn definitely has a victim complex. I mean, to put it bluntly. I don't necessarily blame her for that. I think that different people devise different strategies to keep themselves afloat, but...
All right, y'all. Gabe, when I tell you, you are batting 10 for 10 on what you got to say in this episode. Because she's constantly playing the victim and making her children do the same. And honestly, I would love for Robyn's kids to see this clip, because it seems like most of them, that most of the kids, Janelle's kids, Christine's kids, feel the way Gabe feels, where they want to have a relationship with those siblings. And Robyn is why they don't have that. Because for a kid, you're going to follow along party lines. You live with them. So that would make sense. And I really love even though I don't want to give it, but I really do love the grace that Gabe gives them. I'm giving them none right now. I'm not. But Gabe can give it. I'm like, if Gabe gives it, they get it. But he gives them a lot of grace. So, also too, side note in this clip right here too, like Mykelti's sitting on Christine's lap, like in this photo, it just really confirms exactly why she gets on my nerves. Like, why? Girl, what are you doing? Like, just constantly seeking attention. Oh my God, y'all, like, Lord, that was annoying. Okay, y'all, I do have another We're going to be back to back on these WTFs, because there were quite a few in a row for this segment 4. Segment 4 is popping for the WTF moments. Here's number 7, and it's basically Cody continuing to make Robyn the relationship martyr. Put it here.
Herself, her last 2 conversations with Janelle was Robyn begging Janelle to have a relationship with her. Janelle's a relationship coward.
Look, I want you guys to check my short on this one, because I definitely did a short about this, but it's really exhausting, and this is why your kids believe you play favorites, because as you continue to trash talk their mothers, you're making Robyn the martyr. She's constantly the victim and the martyr. Janelle at this moment also says that, oh, Gabe's at peace with this relationship. Sweetie, Gabe is not at peace. Gabe's in therapy. He's not at peace. He's just learned how to properly vocalize his feelings, but he's not at peace. Like, stop forcing your emotional apathy onto your children. It's not okay. They're not at peace. We just saw Maddie, who you probably as well would say is at peace, have a moment via Instagram stories that clearly shows she's not at peace. She's actually really irritated AF, and his complete abandonment and disregard and neglect. So they're really just honestly stuffing it down, because the world doesn't stop and they have to keep pushing. And also, you have showed them nothing different. You have shown them no other coping skills other than ignore it, pretend it's not happening, and keep it moving. You did say that you all should get therapy, so I hope you all take advantage of that, because you definitely need it. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. All right, you guys. My last WTF moment of the episode. Woo. We're going to call this survival of the fittest. We're going to pop this here.
This conversation never happened. COVID caused a lot of problems for a lot of people, all right? But those people whose relationships had the fortitude to survive, those relationships survived.
Those who had the fortitude to survive. I want to know what books he's reading or what he's looking at that he's getting this language from. It's very specific, and I would be curious to know where it came from. This man's living in like a real life video game or something. This is not real life that he's living in. This is a simulation. He is certifiable. He's insane. Based off what I'm witnessing on this television show. His like language flip is like, in my opinion, the result of like his cold connection to the manosphere and red pill movement. And honestly, for me, I'm like, if you're so frustrated, why don't you just do something about it? Like, Janelle, you're saying you're frustrated. Well, what are you gonna do about it? Because all I've seen you do is make excuses for his behavior. Like, you just left him and took care of yourself, apparently. But what have you done to really validate your children and their experience? Like, how about you start by putting him on child support for Savannah? Wake him up there a little bit, because it seems like he's forgotten. As you said, he just abandoned kids. Like, the fathers get divorced and abandon their children. My dad didn't do that. Matter of fact, my dad fought for custody of his kids. I know quite a few men that didn't abandon their children. Doesn't mean that some of them don't. Sure, there are some that don't. But also, what level of accountability are you holding him to right now? Because if you've had somebody abandon your child, guess what? You have the legal system, which finally we're seeing Christine now take advantage of, to put that man on child support. You want to play stupid? You want to play boo-boo the fool, Cody? I'll show you the fool. And I'll take you to court. That's what I'll do. You're frustrated? Well, hold him accountable. You're not holding him accountable. Hold him accountable, Janelle. Again, y'all all need therapy. Segment 5, last segment of the show. Robyn on the bathroom floor crying. Cody is only worried, y'all, about staying with Robyn. That's obviously pretty evident. He doesn't care about those kids. Ultimately, Robyn was apathetic. A lot of apathy going on in this family. And that's why you find yourself on the bathroom floor crying, because your decision to be priority number one and ignoring the obvious is why you're now in this position. So, I mean, you married a narcissist, sweetie. And then you stroked the ego of a narcissist, and you were apathetic to his behavior, and now you're stuck with him. And I would be crying on the bathroom floor too if I were you. That one family unit, that made it because those women sacrificed. Like, they were a unit because those women sacrificed their own personal wants, their own personal needs, and those of their children to make that happen and work, and you did not. You refused. And I'm not saying you're wrong for that, because you know what? Your kids did deserve that time, and your kids did deserve that energy. But that doesn't work in a polygamous family. He's only one man. That doesn't work. So guess what? This is the result of that. And Cody, again, is martyring Robyn. He's saying she's got like a spine of steel, whatever the hell he's saying. He wants to move on. He wants to just let it all go. Move on. Let it all go. AKA just pretend the rest of them never happened. Minus McKelty, as long as she stays loyal. These kids can ultimately, yes, they can have a great life without a mom and dad that are not together. They can have a good life when their parents aren't together, but that's not what happened here. It wasn't like that. You emotionally and you physically abandoned their moms and them. That's what happened. You didn't just get a divorce. It's like not the same as parents just deciding, hey, we're not going to be together anymore, but we're still going to properly co-parent. You didn't do that. You abandoned the wives, the marriages. Years prior to actually even getting divorced, you started the abandonment process on these women. Janelle's too emotionally apathetic to recognize that he was already doing it to her too. And ultimately, it's becoming quite clear that he really never wanted polygamy. And no, if you go back to the Janelle point with the apathy, it was okay if he was kind of emotionally abandoning her. Just don't do it to her kids. And when she finally started to recognize just how bad it was with her kids is when she finally decided to leave. Had he just only been maybe emotionally abandoning her, it would have taken her a long time, y'all, to really understand how bad it was. Her kids have been telling her for years what he was doing. And it was like, whoop. Apathetic. So yeah, ultimately he's kind of becoming quite clear, you guys, that he never really wanted polygamy. He only did it for the ego boost, and that's it. It's very clear. They wrap it all up with some old Christmas videos of them all as a family. They talk about now they're going to build new memories separate from this. And that's really all they can do at this point, right? It's like, what else can you do? That was the episode. I did not bother to look at next episode's clip. Just I'll start it fresh. That was a lot. That was a lot, y'all. It has been a day. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you love my review. I know I was yelling. I had to cough because I was like yelling so much. Because it took me there. It took me there, y'all. A TV show. Anywho, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you stayed to the end, of course, put some red lips in the comment section so I know you stayed to the end. I love you for doing that. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Turn on the notifications too, because then you'll know if I go live, which sometimes I do. I like to surprise you and go live, hang out with you a little bit, and you'll know when I drop a new video. And hit the like button. It really helps me out. It's literally like you're paying me if you just put a like, because it helps me to push my content out. So it tells me how much you love it. And hopefully other people just like you will love it too. Until next time at Lipstick Club, I'll see you later. Bye.